Well, hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to a stream and another chapter working on this guy here. That is our B-2A Spirit bomber, a USAF 1/72nd scale by a company called Model Collect. Run the intro, we'll get into it. Okay, we're back and we're going to continue on the build. We got a little bit done last time. We got our pilots in the cockpit and that's all done. And we started working on some panels for the underneath or bottom of the fuselage. We got a couple of panels put in, but we still got more to do. I did promise that I would not put this side in until, well, now, and show you guys my process for that, okay? So I'm just going to move my pop out of the way here. In the meantime, before we get to do this, I'll show you what I did off camera. Okay? So, for this, for this engine bay, so we have our landing gear bays on each end, and then we've got our engine bays and then the bomb bay, right? Bomb bay obviously in the middle. And then our front landing gear bay, okay? Obviously I put one engine bay in, and so I'll show you how I did that. What I did is I started off by cutting out the two pieces that are going to go in there, and I laid them down on a piece of glass, and I put them side by each, just like this, and I took my Tamiya regular glue, did a couple little dabs, and just let that sit and let that dry for a good half an hour, to the point where you can pick them up and they're good, they're not going anywhere. Then put them in that hole, lined them up as best as I could, and I put some glue around in there, around the edges. As you can see here, I wanted to fill in any gaps that were visible with a little bit of putty, and of course I did it on this side because I just wanted it so I don't want to get rid of the panel lines, this nice jagged edge. Okay, so now we're going to work on this side, and I'm going to show you what I have to do, because I've done the same thing with these two. I've got them off the sprue and I got them glued together, just laid them down on here, go dab dab dab, and that was it. Okay, and let that set, and that's been setting for a couple of days now. So now it's just a matter of getting it oriented in the direction that it needs to go. And as you can see by that just falling through like that, this is not a tight fit at all. I can get this in here like this and it'll just fall right through. This is not a tight fit. See that? So how am I going to solve this problem? Because if I lay it down here and I try and line this up, we've got some detail here. Let me change the camera and I'll show you here. Okay, we got some detail here on these guys. You see these little diamonds here? Okay, those go towards the front. Okay, so that's how you know which way to go on these. Okay, and I've already got that on this side, see? Okay, as you can see, I've been doing a little bit of sanding work because I got a little bit of a high edge on there, and I want to get, take care of that, get that smooth and nice and flush. I even did that on our little ladder door, a little bit of sanding on there just to make sure that edge is smooth. This one came out pretty good, but this one's sitting low on this one, and as you can see by the sanding marks, you can see how it's sitting low. This one was sitting really high and proud on the front here, but yeah, this one was actually sitting high. I did a lot of sanding on this edge to get this to flatten out and go nice and level all the way through. Okay, so let's flip this over and also flip these, get it in the right direction, and you'll see this, once it's lined up, it's just kind of pop it through. Once it's lined up, there we go, it's lined up, but it's also through, right? So what I want to do is, using the glass, I'm just going to line this up like this, press down. I know that's flush now because this is all sitting on the glass. It's got a nice flat area. And I'm going to put a couple of dabs of glue on this, and I'm just going to hold it here and let it do its thing, right? Now it's going to want to come up, so I could put something heavy down on this, like, I don't know, a can of paint or something like that, to kind of hold this down. I could do that. I'm not confident this is heavy enough. I would want something much heavier for this. So I am going to maybe a big can of paint. Unfortunately, doing something like this is, I can't really look at it and see. I can't look at it. I can't even look at it right now. Anyway, so I'm just going to hold it. I'm just going to have to hold it, suck it up, hold it, and wait. Okay? So, just hold that down like that. Putting lots of pressure on that glass. And I'm going to put a dab of glue there. Dab there. Let's do one here too. And here. Okay, maybe one in the middle here too. Just like that. Okay. Maybe do another one here on this on the other side here. Let's run some glue on there. Okay. And we'll just let that glue do its thing. Fortunately to me, glue does dry fairly quickly. I'm going to wipe away a little bit of this here because I know my Bombay needs to sit on that ledge. And I don't want glue interfering with the fitment of that. So I'm just going to make sure, hold that down like that, and yeah, we'll just let that sit for a minute. Let's talk about these guys. So we got the GBU 57 bomb. Obviously I primered these in white, and yeah, that's a pretty good representation. That looks pretty good, I think, anyway. This is 1/72 scale. Here's our Bombay right here, and fortunately it fits in there. Now this one doesn't because of the fins, but the folded fin version, this guy fits in there quite nicely, drops right in there. But because my version of this kit has the different bombs, I do not have the mounting gear to mount these in the position they're supposed to be in. So I need to make something up. Now I did go online and I downloaded a copy of the instructions for the kit that comes with the GBU 57 so that I could see what is the mounting bracket that they use in that. And it's basically, I'm going to say, for lack of a better term, it looks like an H. And that's it. So I've got styrene, you know, you guys have seen I got styrene hanging pieces on the wall behind me there. I can make something up and make it suspend in that bay. That's something I'll work on another time though. That's not what we're doing today. This, I think, is at a point where I can move this off to the side and to put some, I'll put my can of paint on there. Let me just move this out of the way. Let's bring my pot back over here. I'll show you guys. So this is a 1/72 scale version of the GBU 57 bunker buster, as they call it, right? There's a 1/72 scale. You want to see what that is in 1/48? Here's a 1/48 scale version. Look at the difference there. That is enormous. That's a huge bomb. 1/72 scale compared to 1/48. That is just crazy huge. This is almost the same. This is almost as big as a 1/48 scale airplane. Never mind just a bomb. Like, that's huge. I mean, yeah, that's I'm almost jealous. No. Anyway, it's huge. Yes, I Googled the actual size of this bomb, 20.5 feet. You could say tall if it's sitting like this. Looks like a rocket. 20.5 feet. A little bit of math online. Just go in 20.5 feet into millimeters, and then convert that into 1/48 scale, and boom, comes up with that height. So yeah, I just 3D printed this one in that height. So yeah, there you go. That's a big honking bomb, I tell you. I don't know what I'll do with it, because I don't have a 1/48 scale B-2 bomber, and which, you know, that leads to the thing, how big would this model kit be if it was a 48 scale? It would be huge. Yeah. So anyway, let me transfer this over to this table. I could probably pick it up without really any bad things going on. And since I've been holding it onto the glass, this is nice and flush. This side is a little bit high, but that's okay. We can put this over here. I'm still going to have it on the glass, but I'm going to put some weight on it. And take, which one's heavier? Take this can of paint. Just kind of put it on there. There we go. And we'll just let that cure, because we're going to work on something else. We're going to work on our upper fuselage. Okay? So let's change this. So, going back in the book, we were working on our bomb bay, right? We got the bomb bay all assembled. Well, here's our cockpit. That's all done. Cockpit's finished. And then we got the assembly of the bombs, but of course we're not using these bombs, right? We assembled our bomb bay. That's what we started on there. Bomb bay there. We did the sides. Of course, I did it this way, okay? Instead of putting it in the fuselage and trying to figure out how these walls work, I went with the route of going with the roof and putting the walls onto the roof, and we're going to put it all in later, okay? Meanwhile, we have our front landing gear bay, which we assembled, but I'm not going to put this in because it's going to interfere too much with the fit of the cockpit. I think what I would do if I was going to actually have the landing gear down in this, I would probably trim off this little piece, get rid of that, so that it will line up later on. And I'd probably take my Dremel and Dremel down this roof a little bit, and Dremel down a little bit here too, so that I've got more clearance, because these two seem to hit each other, and yeah, they don't really line up all that great, and I think you'd have a lot of problems squeezing your two fuselage halves together. Fortunately, I don't have to do that because I'm not using this piece, so I don't really have to worry about that. Okay, so and then of course we got to the ladder, which again I'm not using because we're going to have this little bay closed up, which I found the piece that goes onto that, and yep, we got that closed up. So at this point they would have you put in the fuselage, put that together, or put the cockpit into the fuselage. We're not going to do that because I'm going to put the fuselage or the cockpit into the top of the fuselage. Speaking of top, that is step 24. We're going to look at this now. Okay, so we have our top fuselage piece. We got a couple of things to go in here, and it looks like we have options here, D5 or D6. It looks like D6 is possibly going to be the one you use if you want to display this thing ready to receive mid-air fuel, or D5 just to clean it up. Let's look at our D tree. Where is our D tree? I've got to find my D. Where's my D? My D is inside the box. Okay. And do we need A today? We're going to need A also, so I might as well leave A out of the box. Okay. So, D5 and D6. Well, there's D6 right there. Where is my D5? My D5 seems to have come off the sprue all on its own and is possibly sitting in the box. Which is why I'm really happy I didn't throw any of these things away. And there it is. There's my D5. So, it looks like I just need to clean up this little nub here. And it should fit in that slot. Let's see. She really don't fit. She does, but she doesn't. It's one of those situations where they try to help you out, but they don't do a great job at it. You know, they give you this little ledge to try and get it so that you don't push it in too far. It doesn't really help. And then of course this has its own little ledge on it too. So I'm just gonna carve this edge down a little bit in here. I'm kind of coming across this more and more with this kit. In these panels, they almost fit, but they don't. You know what I mean? Like, it seems, yes, they made some efforts, they tried. I'm going to show you something that I find very disappointing with the wings. The wings almost look like, yeah, I'll get there, I'll show you guys. Right now, I'm just going to get these edges off here. Okay. Let's try this. I don't know if there's actually a front and a back on this or not. I do know that this nub is not looking very nice. And it almost looks like there's a nub there, but there's not. It looked like there was. There we go. Oh, there we don't go. Not quite in. Really. I could get it to go. There we go. That's pretty good. As you can tell, it's just not perfect. Let's put some glue on it. I think if I put a little glue on this and maybe it'll get a little bit more eager to sit down, flush in there. Glue oftentimes acts like a lubricant, and that can be used to your advantage. She's not bad. She's tight. She's really tight at the back and a little bit loose at the front. So I'm going to try holding that for a sec. Wants to come up just a little tiny bit, but it's not bad. Okay, there's our fuel door closed. Now we're going to take these, our D, off of our D14 and 15. Okay, I'm going to grab those. That's these two guys here. These are engine air intakes, or at least the tops of them. Okay, that's those. Now, these have 6 ugly little nubs that don't look very nice at all. But fortunately, they were nice enough to put the nubs on this side. They're not really undergated, but they're almost undergated. So that's a nice thing. I seem to clean them up pretty clean there. So let's just clean these up. And make sure they're flash, because they're big. And if you don't clean them, it's going to be noticeable. You know, I think I say it in every single one of my videos. I talk about cleaning up your nubs and how if you don't clean them up, it's not going to fit. Blah 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 blah. I feel like I'm a broken record every single video. Okay, there's that one. Okay, let's have a look at how this fits. If I didn't know better, I'd say I got some flash on there. In fact, that's exactly what I got on there. Okay. Now, I don't know, I forgot which side was which, so we're going to figure this out. Well, this doesn't really want to fit on this side at all. No. So let's try this side without breaking my bombs. Oh, hey, how about that? It looks like it fits. Okay, so we got this side going on this side going on this side. How about that? It's interesting how we've got a really shiny plastic compared to the dull finish of the fuselage. That's unfortunate. Okay, so that being said, I can see a little bit of my nub still sticking up on this one. Don't like that, and I've got a little bit of something sticking there. So that one's done. Let's work on this one. We got flashing on this one too. As much as my ex-wife used to accuse me of being an exhibitionist, not really into the flashing thing. Can't say that I am. Let's clean off this edge. No flashing here. Good. This edge. A little bit of flash. Okay, let's try this side. Yep, she fits pretty good. A little bit of an edge to it, but it's not too bad. Before we put it on, we're going to put in our little covers that need to go here. And again, they're giving you two options, I guess, if you want to have them open or closed. I think closed is going to be the way to go. So we're going to do A, 36 and 37, 38 and 39. Okay, so that's why we need both of our A trees. So let's grab one here. So let's go 36 and 37. Where are we here? There we are. So here's 36, 37, 38, and 39. So 37. We want to start from the outside edge. We're going to start with this one. So we need 37. Okay, so 37, then 36, then 36, and then 38 and 39. You know what's kind of strange? Why did they give us two sets? We've got 39 in the inside, 39, and then 38. Why do I need two sets? That doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so let's clean these up. And see how this fits. How about not at all? It doesn't want to go. It doesn't fit that way. Fit this way? Yeah. So it's only going to fit one way, which is fine. Just put a little dab of glue on there to get it so I can get it set in. Don't need too much. As I found out and discovered when putting on the landing gear bay doors, you know, I have my finger on an edge and then I put glue and the glue seeps through, goes all the way through under my finger, and next thing I know I'm pressing a fingerprint into the plastic. So, you know, you got to be careful of that stuff. Be mindful, especially if you're using this thin glue like I am. I don't want to disparage anyone from building this kit, because from what I've heard, the really only other option you have out there, if you want to build a B-2 bomber, I think I saw someone online saying there's a Revell version. Revell makes this plane. But, you know, Revell aircraft are just not my cup of tea. Okay, so this one fits pretty good too. I'm gonna hold it in while I put glue on there. Yeah, see? The glue seeped down, seeped over, and went straight to my finger. Fortunately, I didn't get too much of a print in there. But it just shows you, it only takes a little bit of a second for the glue to really try and ruin your finish, right? A little bit of sandpaper and that'll clean up. So it's not a big deal. Of course, my buddy watches these videos, so I can't even say he'll never know, because, well, he does watch my videos, so he will know. Unless he just happens to skip through that part, he'll know that there's a spot where I got a fingerprint on it. You won't be able to tell by the time we sanded it, primed it, painted, all that good stuff. I've got 4 chances to get these things in right the first time. So far I've failed 3 out of 4. Okay, so I'm going to put my finger on this edge, I'm going to glue that edge, and we're going to see. Hopefully it doesn't go to my finger. And it didn't, so that's good. It did try that one with me just rubbing there. Happened to pull some glue out and put it on the surface. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. But again, a little bit of sandpaper will be okay. It is wanting to lift up just a little bit, so pressing down on it just to make sure. These are not a perfect fit, so I am going to put some putty in these cracks just to hide them a little bit. Okay. 1 out of 4 I got right the first time. 1 out of 4. But I will take it. 1 out of 4 is better than none out of 4. Okay, so there's those panels in. Okay, and as you can see, they are not a perfect fit, right? You got a little bit of gaps in the corners there. It's not the best fit, and of course my little fingerprints don't look very good either. But a little bit of putty. I like to use the Vallejo plastic putty, this stuff here. Okay, I like this stuff because I can fill it in. It's a water-based putty, so it cleans up with water, and also because it's water-based, it will shrink a little bit. Now, from what I've heard or seen online, a lot of putties shrink as they cure. You know, whatever stuff inside them starts to cure and dry. You get a little bit of shrinkage. In the case of a panel line like this, I want it to shrink. I'm just going to do that. Wipe it clean. That's going to fill in the gaps a little bit, right? But as that dries, that's going to shrink down and preserve my panel lines. And that's exactly what I want. Now, some of it kind of pulled out of the cracks, so I will reapply. It's here, here, and here. That's another thing I find that this putty does sometimes. Sometimes I'll just kind of lick my finger, get a little wet, and just do that, and give it a wipe. There we go. And I'll just repair this little edge here. And I actually want to do this one again, just to make sure. Now, of course, you could just leave it like this and just leave yourself a lot of sanding you have to do, right? But I would like to avoid that. Okay, so there we go. So now we're going to let that dry. We'll look at this side and do the same thing. This one actually is sticking up a little bit, just in the middle towards, well, on this edge here, it's sticking up. So that's another thing to consider, is that sticking up, and when I sand it, I'm going to be sanding down an edge, but that's okay. The idea eventually, when it comes to sanding it down, I want to get it flush. These panels shouldn't be sticking up at all. They should be flat. And I mean, technically, you look at pictures online of this thing, you're probably not really seeing these panels at all, unless they are actually open. And there we go. So we have those cracks filled in. So those are going to look a lot nicer once we got that sanded and everything like that, once it's all dry. So that is that. Okay, so now that we have that done, we can put them onto the fuselage and get them put in their homes, just like this. Slide that in there. And I think what I'm going to wind up doing is, once it's glued in, is, because we've got a little bit of play here, there's a little bit of play. See that gap? I get to choose which side I want to put the putty on. I'm going to choose the outside because it's easier to get in than it is on here. Okay? So I'm going to glue it from underneath. Nice generous amount there. I'm kind of pushing so that it's closing this gap. Put some along the back here. And right there. Okay. That one's in. I need to press it down. It doesn't want to line up. Or it doesn't want to stay flat. So I'm going to hold it like this for a minute. I don't want to put a clamp on it. Any clamp I use is going to be too much pressure on it. But I do want to make sure both my front edges are glued down. So I'm just going to add a little bit more at the front edge here. And make sure. Looks like it is actually making contact with our little stub in the middle there. So I'm going to glue that too, right in there. All right. That should be enough, I think. Yeah, it's nice and flush at the back. I'll give them that. There's a little bit of a lip right in this corner. We'll have to deal with that later. And once this is dried a little bit more, I'll put a little bit of putty in there along this crack. So let's look at this side. This is a similar thing. I've got a little bit of a gap here where it feels like it's a little bit of a lip. So it does fit pretty flush. So I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to make sure that's in there. Do a little glue at the front here, along the back edge, and here, and along there. Just hold it down and give that a minute. This side I don't think I need to really hold down. She seems to be holding good. Yeah, she's not really lifting when I let go. So there we go. So there's our engine air intakes put in. So let's look in the book and see what's next. Let's put this down over here. Let's look in the book and see what's next. I could put the cockpit into there, but I want to let those dry a little bit first. Oh, our actual engine intakes. Let's move my bombs out of the way here. I'll get to, when I get to the point where I'm actually doing something with these things, I will show you guys the process of the 3D printing for these guys, what I did, and the little thing, and we'll get to painting these and we'll do that fun stuff. Okay, That'll be another day. Okay, so it looks like we're going to do our engine intakes and our engines. So let's grab an A tree here. I'll do one. I'll show you guys one. Obviously there's two, but we'll do one. Okay. So A3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So let's find these here. A3 and 4 right here. Three and 4, and they go with 5 and 6. Okay, so which one's 5 and which one's 6? That's 5, and that's 3. Okay, so 3 goes with 5. These two go together. Yeah, they're really, you know, I really gotta hand it to these guys. They give us these pieces, they give us absolutely no guide pins or pegs or nothing. You literally just hold it with your fingers to get them lined up. Line them up with your fingers and kind of hope for the best. So there's one. There's your A, 3 and 5. Again, they do not tell you to, no color callouts. My gut is saying you should paint the insides of these white because, you know, US aircraft intakes are usually white on the insides. So before I actually assemble these ones and go any further, I'm going to look for some reference photos online to see if these are supposed to be white inside. Okay, so before I get that done, we're going to see. Fortunately, I think this is the exhaust, and it is. So this is actually the exhaust port. So yay, I don't have to worry about that. So that's this is in one of the exhausts, or is it? It's hard to tell whether this is the upper fuselage. I think this is the upper fuselage. So maybe this bendy part is the exhaust, which, okay, it's not a yay. It's also not the end of the world if it is supposed to be white, because I can spray in there white without too much difficulty. The engine, however, we can assemble that. So A12, 23, and 24. Let's go get those. And A9. Before we go, so we're going to be running out of time here. So I need A9. There's number 9. And we need 12. There's 12. That's our main intake fan. And we need 23 and 24. There's 23. And 24. Am I blind? We're going 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I'm looking at this going 37, what the heck? There we go. Okay. So we're going to assemble these two halves like this. Oh, look at that. These guys have a channel to keep them lined up. Just like that. So that's nice. Thank you very much, finally. Just line them up. There's no pins, so yeah, you can slide them all around just like I did. Alright, so A9, which is our big piece, is our plug. Gonna go on the end here with no way of centering it. Let's get rid of this nub here. Oh, maybe that'll do. Maybe I had it backwards. It's very possible that I had it backwards. So we've got a little lip here. See that? And that's supposed to go in there. Yeah, hey, there it fits. Not great, but it fits. There we go. With it all still kind of glued, not 100%, I can mess around with it a little bit. And then we got our intake fan. Gonna go in there. I'm just gonna slather some glue on this edge. I know that's almost dried before I even put it on there, and that's why I just put more. Turn that around. Yeah, there we go. And there's our engine. There's an engine. Okay. There's one engine. Come on, camera. There you go. There's an engine. And of course you have a choice of, there's your flame and everything, there's your detail that you get. You have a choice of painting all this if you wanted to. And then of course our intake is going to go on like that. Right? So how much this is going to be visible, I do not know. They show this going into the top here. They show it like this. They actually show it this way. And then this guy would be like this. Okay, it would be lining up something like this. So how much you can see in there, you can probably see pretty good. You can see in there pretty good. Right? So you're going to be able to see that pretty well in there. Unlike a lot of planes, you're going to see in there. So that's going to be something to take into consideration for sure. I need to paint this. I need to paint the inside of this. I probably do. I'm going to almost guaranteed the inside of these intakes are white. But I don't know for sure, and that's why I got to check out reference photos. Okay, so let's make sure my nubs are clean. Yeah, that's what reference photos are all about, is to double check this stuff, especially when you got the company like this that doesn't tell you at all about your color callouts. So there's our front part. So we have our rear. You got G1 and G2. Which one's G1 and G2? I don't know. G1 and G2 like this, but our engines are identical and our intake parts are identical. So you're just making it up. So G2, let's go G1. Okay, G1, this guy here. G1 is made up of C4 and C5. Find our C tree. Buried under my other trees. The zigzaggy ones, that's these guys. So we're going to go 4 and 5. That's 6 and 7. So that makes these guys 4 and 5. There you go, 4 and 5. And these two go together. That is crazy zigzag part for an exhaust. Wow. I'll have to let this dry before I clean up the nubs on that. So that's G1, that's this guy here. And G1 will go on to the exhaust part like this. It will fit just like that. And you're never going to see your exhaust on there, so I don't see any point in painting the exhaust of the engine, because there ain't no way you're seeing through that. And even if you could see in there, you still have this major bend right there that's preventing you from seeing any part of the engine at all. So yeah, I think she's just gonna be happy like that, just like that. So if I was done, that's what my engine would look like right now. Okay, something like this. Obviously you need to have this lined up properly, so it would have been nice to have some kind of a tab. Maybe there is a tab and I'm not seeing it. There's no tab on the front of your intake fan or on this part that lines it up for you to actually go doink, and that's where it locks in, and that's your position it needs to be. So you almost have to just wing it. C13, of course, lines up with your two exhaust ports, but not your intake. So that's going to be an interesting little thing, because once you've got your assemblies, then you put it in the fuselage. It's almost like you need to press fit them together, put them in, and then glue it. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is leave it like this for now. I will assemble the second engine. I'll do that off camera, okay? Because now you know what one goes together, the second one is just the exact same thing, right? So you don't have to worry about that. I'll get that done. I'm going to look at some reference photos online to see whether or not I got to paint the inside of the intake tunnel there. I got to paint that white or not. Yeah, so I got to figure that out. Once I got that figured out, then I'll assemble this other one too. So we'll do that, and we'll leave that for today. And I'll thank you guys for watching, and thank you for hitting the subscribe button. If you haven't already, please do that down over there. And also hit the like button, and leave a comment down below too if you feel like. You guys who do comment, you know that I reply to your comments, right? I always check. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for coming out, and thanks for all the support and the new subscribers. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all in the next one.